Hello and welcome back. In this next lecture, we're going to take a look at how we can create reports in Odoo and call them from within our forms. This is a common business requirement. You're still going to have to create PDF reports. I would highly recommend that you do what you can to keep your users using tree views, using forms, and using the built-in functionality of Odoo rather than getting into creating lots of reports, because report creating, especially PDF reports, where eventually people will probably print them out on paper, attach them to emails. It's not nearly as functional as having good search views, good tree views, and having a good flexible interface. So we want to try to drive users as a developer towards using the Odoo interfaces and the Odoo tools, because report building takes time. It can be a big source of source creep, scope creep. And so with that in mind, we're still going to need to know how to create these basics. And fortunately, what we learn about creating reports in Odoo, you're going to be able to leverage that when you go on to creating web interfaces and work with more advanced Odoo topics. So it's a good foundation. So to get started creating reports, one of the things, again, that we want to always remember is the source is valuable for you. If you look at and do a search, you can go in here and type, for example, like template, and I should do that over here, template, and XML, and do a search. We're going to get all kinds of matches because templates are what are used for all of the report structures in Odoo. And so if we come down here to sale, look at our sale application, you can see that we got a sale view here, but you also, if we drill inside the views, we have report underscore sale order.xml. So I'm going to double click on that. And you'll see here, right here at the top, we have the template ID, report underscore sale order document. We have an external layout here at the top, and all of this structure and all these things that you see in here is what makes a sale order in Odoo, the PDF file. So I'm picking this example first because I'm going to highly encourage you to go into sale order, make a PDF of a sales order, and then look at the sales order and compare it to what you see here. One of the things you'll notice right here, like in this TIF, that if we're not in a draft or sent, then we have order number. If we are in draft or sent, then it changes it to quotation number. So you can see how Odoo is using the same template for whether it's an order or a quotation. It just changes what it shows. And you can notice other things here, like as where it says your reference, that then it's using this T field to show the client order reference here. When it's time to show the order date, we can see that there's a field here to show the order date. So you can see here that what's showing in your PDF file is matching what is in this template. And so now we're going to make our own simple template for our product and our nutrients that are in our product. But it's important that you just kind of understand a little bit about how these templates work. And now this is the template that you get to see, but there's another tag that will actually add the report to Odoo so you can see it as a report in Odoo. So once again, we'll use our file search, and we're going to do a report and do a search. And now you'll see a whole bunch more. There's 60 matches here. And if we click on one of these, let's go down to sale again. So we're working with the same thing. And there's our sale report. And I'm going to double click on this. Here's where we can actually see the report definition that tells Odoo to create an entry within this particular model to call this particular report. So we're going to see, we're just basically looking right now and examining the source code so we can see the structure. Then that'll make it that much easier when we make our own. So now let's make our own. I'm going to go back to our diet facts view. And there's nothing wrong with mixing in everything in within this view. Now, later we might want to break this out, make it more modular. But for what we're trying to do, this keeping everything in one place makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the definition that I have, and then we'll just talk about it. So I'm going to paste this in here. And we have a report, and we give it an ID. And notice how I've prefaced it with diet facts. So I know that it's not going to get it mixed up with any of the other reports in Odoo. And I know I'm saying real simply, this is the diet facts product report. And here we can see our model is going to be product template, which makes sense because we've always been working in product template. And we're going to give our report a name, and we're going to call our report nutrition products. So this gives the name to our report. And we always have a report type. And in this case, any new reports you're going to do in Odoo 8 or Odoo 9, which is, this is Odoo 9, is the QWeb. And then we just give a name for our report and a file that it's going to save when it's time to save the report. Now, as you might suspect, for our template ID that we're going to need to make our template, it's going to be called product nutrition. So we could go ahead and just paste this part right up here. We know that we're going to name our template that, and I'm going to fix our XML a little bit there. Now we're going to go ahead and copy over one of the templates that like we would use and get from somewhere else. So I'm just going to copy this in here, this much of it. So this, what I'm giving you right now, is a template that we would have very common in any Odoo report. And I'm having to fix some of the XML that just kind of got messed up when I pulled it in. And that actually is right. It's just because of some of the copy paste problems, and we don't want to have any problems. So if we look at how we've started this out, we know we're going to need an ending div for the page here, and we need an ending T for the external layout. We need an ending T for our for, an ending T for our call, and then finally an ending template. Now we could maybe make these a little better, easier to understand by, doing something like that so that they're nested. But really what we're learning here is that whenever you have a starting tag, you have to have an ending tag. We have a report HTML container, and this is a basically call that will give us a header and a footer for our report. And then notice this one says for each docs T as equals. What this allows us to do is if we wanted to print out 10 products, for example, we could select 10 of them in our report, in our tree view, select them, and then print them all at once. And there'd be one page right here for each of our products. That's all that this does. And so we get our O, this T as O, is our object that we're going to be using and printing things out in our report. So with this right here, I can come in and say H1 nutrition report. And H1 is just a header. It's a common HTML, XML tag for saying that we have our top level header. And now let's go ahead and do an H2 for our product name. Product name, and what we can do is use that same syntax that we saw from our other reports. I don't like to have to type stuff out, so I'm going to copy and paste it. And you can see that and get it from anywhere in any of those templates that we found earlier. But I'm just saying here that I want in this span to take in the field name, t-field, o.name. So this will get the name of our product. And then we just need to end our ht right here, our header. So let's go ahead and save this. And it's going to make sure that we didn't mess up our template. We're keeping it real simple. We're just picking out one field from our model, and we've got our menu item, or I'm sorry, our report item here that's going to show up for us, hopefully, when we restart. So let's restart our server, make sure we don't get any errors, and we didn't. Let's go back to our products. And let's click on our herb chicken, and notice now we have a print here, and there's our nutrition products, just pretty as you please right there. And let's go ahead and click on it. And it's telling us we should upgrade our version of WK to HTML PDF, which we will do. And we don't really have to do that, but it recommends it. So let's see, did we get that downloaded? Maybe it is going to force it. I thought that we would go ahead and see it. There it is. Open. And there we see we got nutrition report, and we got our product name, garlic herb chicken. So let's go ahead, now that we got it working, and we're going to get annoyed with that, but we will fix that in a future video, or we'll attach something so that we don't have to see that warning. But let's go ahead and let's add in some more. Let's add in, and now we can just use a paragraph because we don't need everything to be as big as that header. Let's go ahead and do calories. So we can do calories and a colon there, and we can just copy and paste this so we don't have to type everything out, and just change this to calories. And then we need to end our paragraph. And now that we have a paragraph there, let's just copy this and paste this in. And let's put our nutrition score there that we have. So we did call it nutrition underscore score, like that. So that's another custom field that we've added to our table. So, or our model. And let's just make sure. Nutrition underscore score, and I can copy and paste it just to make sure I get it exactly right. I'll just hit save here. Now, notice with the report, I can just go up here and choose nutrition products and see the report change. Oh, I didn't. I do. I forgot. I am going to have to restart it. So I do have to restart the server and force it to rebuild that report. Now we'll do it again. And now we can see the calories there. It's a lot smaller because this is only at 50%. But if we're at 100%, there's our calories and there's the nutrition score. So it's pulling, you're learning right now how you can pull data right into your report in Odoo. So we're going to end this lecture here. In the next lecture, we're going to clean up our WK to HTML to PDF, and we're also going to take and show our nutrition points and all the nutrition values in our report. So we're basically going to upgrade our report to then show the items that are within our nutrition IDs from our model. So we'll see you in the next lecture. All right, in this video, we're going to show how to get rid of this report WK HTML PDF has to be at least 0.120. We're gonna fix that right now. What you're gonna want to do is get a terminal open. I'm just gonna Control C this terminal because you're gonna possibly have to reboot your whole Ubuntu server depending upon how your machine behaves once you reinstall this. One of the first things you're going to want to do is there is a package, this Xfonts 75 DPI. I'm going to paste it in here so you can see it, and I'm going to include all these in a resources that you can download right here with the lecture. So you'll have these commands, but I'm going to go ahead and enter that one, and you'll see that it shows that in this case it's already been installed on my system, but it will prompt you to install it if it has not previously been installed on yours. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is to actually download the WK to HTML file, and I'm going to include that here too. So I'm going to do a sudo wget and paste it in. And so here's where it's downloading it from, and you probably don't want to have to type all this in. You can use the resources again to copy and paste it, but you just hit enter, and it's going to download this latest 12.2 pack, and you can see that it needs at least 12.0, so we're going to have 12.2. That should be good enough for what it wants. And then now we're going to want to unpackage this, and so we can do a sudo dpkg -i, and then now I can just copy this from here. I'll use that and paste it down here and hit enter. And now you can see it's gonna read it, process it, and install it. So it says that it's installed it. But there's another step you're gonna want to take, and that's just have to type this in again also, just like everything else. And we're going to copy from this WK HTML to PDF that's in the user local bin over to user bin. And we do the same thing with another one of the packages. So we do a sudo copy, and all of these will be in your resources file where you can download them next to this lecture, and we hit enter there. And if all this worked as it's supposed to, we should be able to, and I did this in the Odoo 9 directory. I really didn't want to do it in this directory. I wanted it to back out, and I forgot. So you might want to back out using a cd ... before you put this stuff inside of your Odoo 9 directory. I really didn't intend to do it here. But since we're already here, we can just go back and rerun. We're going to rerun this and see if after we shift refresh here, if we can get these to go away without rebooting Ubuntu. So I'm going to do a shift refresh on the browser. And it seemed to me that I did have to reboot at one point in time when I was doing this prior, but we'll try. Nutrition products, and there we go. No error, no message. So we're not getting that message anymore because we've upgraded our PK to HTML PDF. So that now that that's done, we've gotten rid of that error. Let's go ahead and see how we can, in the next lecture, we're going to see how we can loop through the nutrients and have them show up in our PDF. So we're just going to upgrade our PDF report a little bit, learn a little bit more about QWeb, and we'll just take that up in the next lecture. All right. So in the previous lecture, we got our WK to HTML PDF completely up and running like it's supposed to, so our reports will print properly. And we have under our print here, I'll go ahead and pull it so you can see we've created a print menu for our nutrition products. We can click open with, and we see our report where we pulled in the name of our product, the calories, and the nutrition score. So we've successfully accessed what I would call the header records for our product. Now we want to see how we can show and list out these nutrition values on our report. So we're basically just learning how to collect and print more information on the report. So let's pull up our report here, and we can see here where we have our nutrition score showing up. Let's go ahead and create a header for the nutrition details. So we're going to call this the nutrition details, and this is where it's going to list all of our nutritional details, and naturally we are going to be looping through them. So let's see the syntax for that. You're going to start out with a T, like all of these are, and again we're going to do a for each. So it's much like the for each that you see up here, where we're doing, this one's doing for each docs. In this one, we're going to do for each O dot nutrient IDs. And that's coming right from our model that we had, just like we have our O nutrition score, and we have O calories and O name, we can reference O nutrient IDs that has all the nutrients that are attached to this specific product. So we, once again, as we did up here, we need a T as, so we know what we want to refer to each of these as. And so I can just refer to these as nutrient, like that. And sometimes, since we're doing O, it's sometimes common to use line for the line items. O for the primary document, line for the less one. And so now I'm going to /T to end this, and we can now just go in here just to test this out and use our span here. Let's go ahead and do line dot name. So we're going to get the line here, and actually we need line dot nutrient ID dot name, because remember the line itself, and we're going to go down here and find it. The line itself is going to have the nutrient ID in it. It's going to have the unit of measure, it's going to have the value, and it's going to have the daily percent. So to get to the name of the nutrient ID, we need to first reference the nutrient ID and then go to the name. So let's save this, and we'll start back up our server, make sure we don't get any errors, which we haven't. And now we can go here and look at our report again, and we should see the list of these items showing up. And there they are: total fat, sodium, and calcium. Now there's just spaces between them. We'll have to format, but you can see that we are pulling the records. And that's really small. I'm going to go ahead and make it big. So there you go. Total fat, sodium, and calcium. So one of the things we know we're going to want is a paragraph. And we'll go ahead, just do it this simple way at first, and then we'll make things we'll pretty it up a little bit. So there's our name, and now let's go ahead and grab the value. So we have the nutrient name, and we want the line's value, because that's not inside of the nutrient, but inside of the actual product template's nutrient. And then let's go ahead while we're at it and say, what if we wanted to say line.nutrient ID dot the unit of measure ID dot name. And this should be perfectly legal, that we're actually going in here, and this will all be just crammed together for now, but we're going to have the name of the nutrient, what the value is for that nutrient, and then we're even going so far inside to get the, I guess you would call it the unit of measure, the name for the unit of measure there. So we'll save that. I'm going to go back in here, restart our server, pull this back up. And look at our report. and we'll make it big so we can see it. And there you go. Notice we have total fat, 4.0 grams, sodium 2 grams, calcium 2 ounces, just like we have here in our data. So now we are going to just do a little bit of formatting here so you can see how we use this QWeb template for making things a little nicer looking. We can replace this P out with a row. And so we say dClass equals row. And I'd highly encourage you looking at other reports inside of the Odoo add-ons folder, inside of the other applications, to get out, what you want. And so we're replacing this P with a div for a row. And then if there's rows, you almost always have to have columns. And so I'm going to do a div class equals. And for these columns, I'm going to use col xs-4. And these are what you're going to learn are part of QWeb and part of what is sometimes called Bootstrap. Is it basically just means that out of 8 total columns, we're given 4 of them right here to the name. So I'm going to in my div tab here. So then we'll do another one, and we can just copy and paste this, and we'll make this one a 2 for the value, and then we end our div. And then we'll do another 2 one here for, I think actually they're supposed to add up to 12 now that I'm thinking about it. And then this will have an ending div as well. So it's a little outside the scope of everything that we would do for formatting, but this is a common way of where we have a row. So for each line, it's going to loop through each line. We have a row, and we're going to end that row here. And then we have a div tag for one of the columns. It's going to be a little bigger. Let's go ahead and make that 6. And then we have one here for the value, and we'll leave that one 2. Maybe we'll make this one 4. So they add up to 12. And this is going to show the name. This will show the value. This will show the unit of measure name. And these are basically tags that tell how much space each one of them should use. So this should use 6 columns. This will use 2 columns, and this will use 4 columns. We'll save all that. We'll go back here to our server and start and stop it. Make sure we don't have any errors in our XML. And we'll go back to here. Nutrition products. No errors or anything. It's already created the document. We just need to open it and look at it. And now you'll notice how it's all formatted out there. So it's probably not what we want. We'd probably just put these 2 together. But it's basically to show you, look at how we're able to take and use up half of the page for this column, and then tell it that we want so much room for this column and so much room for this column. So we're learning here, again, look how we got the header at the top. It's pulled in our header. Well, we got that because we pulled in the report external layout in our template. And we have this is big, is because it's wrapped in an H1. This is not quite as big because it's wrapped in an H2. These are just using paragraph tags. This is using an H3 tag. And we see here in our actual template that we're looping through using this T for each, all the nutrient IDs on our model that's in our template, making one for each row and listing out our items. So it's a pretty simple exercise here, but it doesn't matter whether you're doing it for your own models. Like in this case, we're kind of blending some of our own model and the product.template. But I would encourage you as an exercise, make a report for the menu, have it show the menu header, just like this one does, the product nutrition at the top, and then make a for each that loops through all of the the meal items and the meal items inside of your meal and prints out, just like we did here, the calories and the servings from your meal items. And that will be a good exercise for you to do to get more comfortable with reporting, more comfortable with QWeb, and more comfortable with the Odoo framework in general. So that wraps up this video on reporting. There's a lot more to do, but we really are getting near the point of where you should begin to have a really good foundation for Odoo development and for us to build on them with more advanced lectures and courses. So take care, and we'll see you in the next lecture.